and pleased to yield to our new member of our committee, Mr. Clawson of Florida.
Those from Camp Liberty, thank you for coming. You've made your point with the newest congressperson here. The two of you, thank you for coming, and thank you for your service to our country. And I'm sure that this is not an easy moment for you, and it's never easy to be the point of the spear in this kind of situation. So I respect you for coming and speaking straight, and ask you to speak straight to me too. To use your words, Mr. McGurk, there's some hard realities here, right? And I cannot overestimate those realities. People are dying, and these are people that don't deserve to die, and we've been there for a while. It feels like a perilous situation to me as our enemies consolidate friends, allies, and territory, which will certainly someday threaten our friends, Israel, and maybe even us, if I'm getting the drift of what's going on here as the newcomer. And then in that backdrop, it feels like we have bet on a team that is divided, right? Maybe artificially put together, and a coach that we and you as an administration don't have full confidence in. That sounds like a bad situation for us to be in. As I hear the talk today, it also feels that this lack of leadership therefore causes a deterioration in safety, and where there's a deterioration in safety, there's even a deterioration in culture. People losing lives in their own culture feels like a bad situation, and it threatens us in the longer term, if I'm capturing correctly what's going on here. And so in that vacuum of chaos, you all are making decisions that will affect us eventually and people on the ground immediately. For my constituents, I think what would be good would be two things. Number one, each of you give me a very brief summary for those that aren't experts, that don't know all the missiles, that don't know all the things involved here. What is your summary way forward? Where is the administration taking us? I don't want to get into partisan bickering. I just want to understand where we are going and where we will be 6 months from now. And then secondly, I would like to understand, what can this committee do to help save lives and protect people? I am not interested in assigning blame. I think, Mr. McGurk, you said it best. History will sort that out. I think it's more helpful if you tell us where we are going, and if we like that path, how we can help to get there. In layman's terms, so I can understand it and therefore take it to my constituents. I know that this question is a little different than most, but does it make sense to you too?
Yes, Congressman, I thank you for the very thoughtful question. And again, I think explaining this to your constituents is critical about why this matters. And a lot of the history on Iraq, I think it can have a clouded view upon why this really continues to matter to the United States.
But I want you to look forward with me.
So let me just say three things. First, when this crisis began, as I stated in my written testimony, we immediately had to get a very precise, very accurate, eyes-on picture on the ground. And I just want to speak from my own firsthand experience. President Obama immediately ordering a surge of intelligence assets, moving an aircraft carrier into the Gulf, ordering special forces to go on the ground to get an eyes-on picture. That was all done. There's been a lot of talk about the 2011 SOFA. That was all done under another permanent agreement we have with the Iraqi government called a Strategic Framework Agreement. That's a permanent framework agreement which allows us to assist the Iraqis in ways that protect our interests. It's number one. We had to get a clear picture of what's happening on the ground. We're getting that now, and it'll become clear over the days ahead, particularly through the assessment that's being undertaken by the military. Second, We had to get the political process on track. Iraq just had an election. 14 million Iraqis turned out to vote, almost a 62% turnout, a higher turnout than most elections all around the world. That showed the democratic aspirations of the Iraqi people. We can't let them down. They want to see a new government formed. A new parliament has just convened in Iraq with 328 members. They're now working to form a new government. We have to be behind them as they do that and encourage them to do so. And as soon as that new government is stood up, and it will be stood up, we need to embrace it and give it every chance to succeed under our strategic framework agreement, because it is in both their interests and ours, and it is also in the interest of all that we have sacrificed in Iraq. So that in a nutshell, we have to get a better picture on the ground, better eyes on to know exactly what's happening. We're doing that. Secondly, we have to get the political process on track, which reflects not just the political elites, but the aspirations of 14 million Iraqis who voted. And once that government is stood up, we need to embrace it and give it every chance to succeed.
So
Thank you very much.
So in summary, we wait until the new government is formed and then give that government full support.
We're not waiting. We have people on the ground now doing significant things under the strategic framework agreement, which exists with the future Iraqi government and the current one and the one before that. So
Thank
we
you
have
very
people on the
much.
ground now